welcome to Scorched Earth and a general reading for the sign of Pisces, Sun, Moon or Ascendant for the month of December 2023. I hope you are well. I'm using the Crow Tarot for you today. Just before we begin, if the reading resonates with you and you'd like to go a little bit deeper, there will be an extended that you can access at the end. Link number 1 in the description box. Link number 2 is to my private community, the Order of the Phoenix, over on Circle. You can get access to all of the extended content for no extra cost, so you can watch for your moon sign, your ascendant sign, whatever you like, and hang out with an extraordinary group of people, and I don't say that lightly. So if that sounds like something that would be of interest to you, you know what to do with that link. Right, Pisces, I'm feeling kind of wiggy sitting here next to you. Big energies going on for you at the moment. I feel that very strongly. So let's get some cards out and see what's going on with you. Can I have 3 cards for Pisces, please? So first card out is the 4 of Swords for your recent past. What about current energy for Pisces, please? We have the 5 of Swords. And what about what's coming up for December for Pisces, please? Oh, goodness. We have the Hermit. Right. We've got the Strength card at the bottom of the deck, right here. So we have Virgo and Leo energy, respectively. I had a feeling it was this deck that wanted to come out for you. That's why I put it on the table. It's not one that I usually keep on the table, but here we go. Oh. So this is the Quen Tarot here I'm using for you to clarify. So let's give it a shuffle. And why is the 4 of Swords here for Pisces, please? Pisces, there we go, there's the first one. Knight of Pentacles, more Virgo energy. Oh dear, right, why is the 4 of Swords here for Pisces? Okay, we've got 2 cards. We have the Empress and we have the Justice card. Okay, I think we will cut the deck actually from this point on because it's not wanting a shuffle out today. So we have the 3 of Pentacles and we have the 2 of Pentacles, and then for the Hermit, 3, 2, 1. We have Ace of Wands and the 6 of Cups, with also the 5 of Wands there. Interesting. And the Queen of Swords at the bottom of the deck. This is another reading. I've done Capricorn already this morning. This is another reading that seems to have a lot of moving parts to it. And what do I mean by that? Well, just that there isn't a single message that's kind of permeating through. It seems like there are lots of things that are going on for you, have been going on for you, and will continue to go on for you right up until the end of the year, I think. We've got this Strength card here, Leo energy, which has been cropping up a lot for you recently. Again, I'm sure I mentioned this last month. There was a period of about 2 years where Leo energy was just present in every single reading that I did for Pisces, and then over the course of this year it seemed to have faded out a little bit, but it's back with a vengeance. So, you know, whatever or whoever Leo represents to you, it's very, very strong here. And it might just be simply that it is a representation of your strength at this point. I mean, let's not forget that the depiction of strength is not the lion. It is the taming influence. We've got a sense of us being in control of our wilder side with the Strength card, but it always represents growth to me, right? Huge personal growth. And it's here with the Queen of Swords, which is an interesting energy for you as a water sign. But it's about the processing of information. And for me, all of the queens make sense of whatever suit they represent. So it's making sense of what you think and growing through the process, you know, before we get to the King of Swords, who is making decisions about things. Now, when we come to the cards that are on the table, we start here with the 4 of Swords. Now, the 4 of Swords often represents taking a break from something, somewhat of a step back. It can also indicate healing, because it follows on from the 3 of Swords. But it's this sense of kind of finding a space within your mind where you can both heal and make sense of something before returning, let's see, Five of Swords, before returning to something that requires your attention. You know, if the Three of Swords is some way in which you've been wounded or pained or, you know, heartbroken possibly, then the Four of Swords is the recovery stage. If the Three of Swords is more abstractly, rather than a direct pain that you have experienced, some way in which there is a tension between the messages of the heart and the head, which is a way that you could interpret that card, then the Four of Swords is like, let me get my thinking in order. And we can see how the Queen of Swords is a really good supporting energy to what we've got going on here. And it's underpinned by the energy of the Knight of Pentacles, the Empress, and the Justice card. Now, the Empress and the Justice cards are really quite big cards. Obviously, because they're major arcana. So they talk about the forces that are at work on us in some sort of way, that require some sort of response. And I'm seeing these big energies and then the response, and a big energy and a response. A bit like how we've seen this year, crisis, deal with it, crisis, deal with it, crisis, deal with it. And we've all grown immeasurably over the course of this year, I think, without even really noticing that we've done it. But this seems to be very purposeful for you, because the Justice card represents, for me at least, issues of karma. And what do I mean by karma? Well, we mean simply the consequences of one's actions. Now, the preceding two cards are earth energy cards. We've got the Knight of Pentacles, which represents Virgo, and we've got the Empress card, which is given to be earth, and it represents Taurus, but can also represent Libra, because it's actually just ruled by Venus, this card, so it represents both of those signs. So we've got double Libra here, but then triple Libra when you bring in the Queen of Swords. Now, this speaks to a lot of air energy at work at you at the moment. As if you didn't have enough with the Four and Five of Swords there. Furious mental energy. Now, did I not pick this up for you last month as well? I really do feel like I did. Like, there's something here that is... it's wrong to say that it's making your brain work overtime, but there is a lot of stuff that is getting sorted out in your head, and in fairly swift order, I feel, because there's a lot going on in the head. Normally this would be quite overwhelming, and it would feel like... it just compression. Like, it would feel like compression. There's so much going on in my head, I can't make sense of anything. It doesn't actually feel like that to me at all. It feels like things are starting to slot into place in your head where they are supposed to be. And the Empress is about gratitude, is a big one for me where the Empress is concerned. But it's also about understanding value, because I think what we need to do with the Empress here is actually focus on the Venusian aspect of this card. Even as I'm looking at it, it's actually this little symbol of Venus that I'm staring at the most. So the question is, what brings value to your life? What holds value? What no longer holds value? Given the consequences of one's actions as they are playing out, what actions that you took brought you the most value, supported those things that you consider to be valuable, and which things did not? Because there's a huge sorting process going on here, Pisces. And I would say the levelling up is mental rather than emotional. Well, you're the last sign in the zodiac, right? You represent the culmination of everything learned by the rest of the zodiac. Emotional stuff isn't usually something that Pisces needs to sit down and think furiously about. Everything else, possibly. And you feel incredibly motivated to do it. Now, I know I said that the Four of Swords felt like sometimes can represent a step back from things, taking a break from things. But it really does feel like it's more in the area of making sense of things for you. And that Knight of Pentacles is that step-by-step process that you have taken, the step-by-step process of analysis. Right? Being Virgo, it's talking about really paying attention to the little details of things. And again, you feel so motivated and, dare I say it, disciplined in working through all of these things. And it's not necessarily from a material level at all that this is actually playing out. This is you making sense of what you think, but also sitting and looking and seeing what worked and what didn't work, what might work in the future, what probably isn't going to work in the future. You seem to be in contact with a part of yourself that is thinking very clearly and very objectively about your next moves. And the emotional stuff is a little less pressing. Like I said, it's not something that you usually need to work at particularly. Rather than getting in... You're in a flow state. That's the best way that I can put it, Pisces. You seem to me to be in a flow state. You're kind of like... There might be issues cropping up here, there and everywhere. And if there are, you're dealing with them. But this bigger overarching question of what has value for you? What do you want to do more of that fills you with a sense of gratitude? But also looking over what has happened in the past, what's happened before. You know, this sense of you putting one foot in front of the other and making progress. It might be slow. We might not be talking about the drama of an Aries approach to something, but you really are making a difference to yourself and then by extension to everything that is outside of you that you are looking to change. Because this idea of change has been coming up an awful lot for you, Pisces. I mean, it's coming up for everyone because of where we find ourselves. But the precision in your thinking at the moment might be a relatively new position for some of you. Yes. Touché. We have the Fool. We've got you moving into new territory. The Fool is about faith and it's about trust and all those things, which also is something that Pisces quite often represents. It feels a little bit like you found the cheat codes. But that's probably the wrong way to put it, right? For the game of life, if you will. Because the cheat codes are exactly that, right? You're cheating your way through it, and it's not that. It seems to be that you've suddenly understood the rules of the game, and what's happened is all sorts of things have opened up inside your head. And it's not about the emotional responses to these, it's about how you make sense of them with your mind. And then correspondingly, how you will use that information moving forwards. Because when we move into your current energy, we've got the Five of Swords, and that's an instability in thinking. Right? Swords represent the mind, the workings of the mind, thinking, rationality, logic, and all that sort of stuff. And the Five is about the instability thereof. Now, normally this is a very uncomfortable card. It's an Aquarius card, so it's kind of fixed. It's usually quite an uncomfortable card to come up in a reading, because it can represent, self-sabotage. It can represent actually quarrels that we have with people, being at odds with people, maybe being stuck in a situation where somebody is always trying to get one over on you. But it's got a very different flavour for you today as I'm reading it, because it feels more self-analytical. It feels like a very clear and insightful look around in the inside of your head to see what sort of thought patterns have been self-sabotage. The extent to which you have engaged with a certain way of seeing the world that has made it difficult for you. I mean, what feels really, really clear is the fact that everything is really clear to you, Pisces. And that in itself feels novel. Because it's almost like you're not used to your brain working like this. Now, Saturn has recently gone direct in your sign, and I wonder if this has helped somewhat too. Because there's something kind of Saturnian about the process that's going on here. You know, we've got quite a bit of earth energy on the table. We've got the King of Pentacles, the 3 and the 2, and we've got the Hermit here. And, you know, if you read the Empress that way, we've also got the Empress. It's almost like you've realised that you were completely overthinking what the game actually is. And now you're looking at what you have built and what you intend to build, and kind of bringing it back to yourself to wonder, I feel like there's almost a state of bafflement that you have been baffled for such a long time, if I can put it like that, Pisces. You know, we've only got one emotional card on the table, and it's the 6 of Cups. Everything else is Wands and Swords and Pentacles. So earth and fire and air. Tell me about this 3 of Pentacles, please. We've got the 7 of Cups. And we've got the 6 of Swords. I mean, for fuck's sake, this is exactly what I'm saying. Like, the confusion is no longer there. Whether it's emotional confusion or whether it's illusion or whatever it has been. It seems like you've been working to, you know, a certain idea of how things go, but perpetually in this state of everybody else knows the rules to the game except me. And suddenly it's all slid into place. And so your capacity to do everything seems to have increased exponentially. You know, this 4 of Swords appearing again at the bottom of the deck, speaking to a sense of, you know, mental clarity. We've got a peacefulness about the way that you're engaging mentally with everything right now. And one can only assume that there's been some sort of, you know, shift inside of you that's made the difference. But with Saturn being in your sign, as it has been since, what, March or something like that, but like most of that time it's in retrograde. We've had you going back over things. Is this working? Is this good? Is this what I want? You know, the relationships that I have been in, have they been useful? Have they been, you know, have they been getting me as a soul where I want to go? Or have I been just propping everything else up? Where's my sense of self in the middle of all of this? You know, it's like everything's just slotted into place and you're like, oh, it was easier than I thought it was. Because what's being left behind is any sense of a lack of direction or a lack of clarity, or even the sense that you're fooling yourself about something. Everything is being seen in 4K resolution right now, and you're like, oh, holy shit, this is fantastic. So there's 2 of Pentacles here. Here we've got this complete emotional, like, peace again, because the sea is completely fucking flat. There's no turbulence, there's no maelstrom like we usually see in the background there. And she's turning to face this 2 of Pentacles, which is up in the sky rather than in her hand. You know, where everything seems really quite hard sometimes when you've got the 2 of Pentacles and you're trying to juggle them endlessly. She's found a way of suspending them up there so she can actually look at it and see if it works. Like, you seem to be analysing everything and coming to a series of conclusions very, very quickly, where the fog has just lifted. Now, as a Saturn-ruled sign, I have to say, as soon as Saturn went direct, I found myself suddenly in a clearer place than I had been for a long time. So I can only imagine what an effect it must have had for you with Saturn being in Pisces. But yeah, like 8 of Pentacles and the 5 of Wands. The energy is on disruption. We've got 3 cards numbered 5 on the table for you here, right? Now we've got the 5 of Wands twice, and we've got the Five of Swords. These don't feel like they're commentary on what you're doing. You're at war with everyone, you're sabotaging yourself, ways of looking at it like that. And particularly not with this Five of Wands here, actually, at all. It's like it's the energies that you're working with, right? The destabilization is being brought by you. You are doing it deliberately. How do I act, and does that need to change? How do I think, and does that need to change? Where do I actually need to invest in disruption? Because everything's shifting around, and it's shifting around because you are shifting it, Pisces. You're not accepting everything anymore. Like I said, there seems to be a highly analytical approach that you are taking to everything. And it's not that you're ignoring your emotions. It's that you understand how your emotions work and what they're about and all that sort of stuff. It's everything else that's been difficult. And it doesn't seem to be difficult in the same way that it was before. And your ability to be able to introduce disruption rather than trying to be the oil on troubled waters all the time seems to be expressive of you accessing some dimension of self that has been hitherto unavailable to you. So you don't mind engaging in a little bit of conflict. You don't seem to mind putting people's noses out of joint just a little bit, because it's not being done out of spite. It's not being done for any reason other than shifting your universe around so that it reflects what it is that you are trying to create. When we move into December, we've got the Hermit. That's usually a card of or sometimes it can be a card of doing things alone, right? Kind of retreating away from the world and try and find a little place where you can sit, where you can make sense of everything. It also talks about the internal journey. There's always a high degree of introspection involved whenever the Hermit is around, but the main energy of this card is an understanding that the answers to everything exist within you. They're not to be found outside of you. And I think what is really screeching from this reading is again that sense that nothing is really quite as hard as you thought it was, because you have all of the answers already. I mean, we see it here. We've got the Ace of Wands and the Six of Cups. The Six of Cups generally talks about the past, right? It can talk about your childhood. It can talk about your history generally, right? So stuff that happened a long time ago, and definitely in childhood. It can speak to children, or it can speak to past life experiences. And what's really striking about this card is we've got a woman who's looking pretty happy with herself here. Those six cups lined up. And we've got the Ace of Wands. It's almost like you have realised that the key to all of your forward movement is contained within the past experiences that you've had. So we've got this big energy of the Hermit there going, well, you've got all of the answers actually, Pisces, you just need to know how to look for them, and suddenly that seems to have slotted into place. All of your past experiences have given you a little aspect of something that is pointing you forwards, and the Ace of Wands is going, well, this is how we introduce it. Right? If we're introducing disruption here, there and everywhere, to our thinking, but certainly to our behaviours and whatnot, because we're doing everything differently now, then the Ace of Wands is the spirit of initiation. This is where we start, and we begin the act of showing up in the world completely differently. Because wherever the aces are involved, it is something that is so novel, we have not experienced it before. Well, for you, the novelty might be in the oh shit, that's not the Five of Wands at all. That's the Hierophant. Sorry, I'm not terribly familiar with these, but I've just realised that all the Pips cards have got the... No, they haven't. No, I'm talking dross. Oh, that's actually really confusing, but also really helpful. I think it is the Five of Wands. Because it looks like, yeah. So ignore me, I'm talking shit. But then at the same time, what was really confusing me about this card is it looks Emperor-like. But now we're getting shades of the Hierophant in there, because just briefly I mistook it for the Hierophant. And we're back to the Five of Wands, but look how neatly the Five Wands are stacked behind here. It's like the realization that disagreeing with people doesn't mean that you've been catapulted into a state of conflict. It can be an energy of getting your shit together in terms of what you do and how you express yourself, right? And there would be the energy of the Emperor. But there's also the Hierophant, right? In terms of how you have decoded for yourself the secrets of the universe. Like, everything's just kind of dropped into place. We can see both of those energies in there. So just say, if you read intuitively, mistaking a card, even mistaking it twice and 3 times, is really telling. This is what I said, this is kind of multifaceted. There's a lot of moving parts here. There's a lot of things going on at once. But there's a coalescence. Making sense of what you have experienced, seeing that you hold the key to everything. And as a result, everything making so much fucking sense. This feels like a personal enlightenment, Pisces. Like a period of personal enlightenment. Like, it's almost like you've come out of the dark ages and suddenly there's this huge fucking renaissance and you're like, I fucking understand everything. I'm showing up properly now. Tell me about this Five of Wands, please. Because I love this Five of Wands. King of Pentacles. Son of Pentacles, which is the Knight, and the Four of Cups. Like, you seem to be able to make sense of everything, and now the rules of the game are clear. Everything is making sense. There is nothing that is outside of your capacity, Pisces, and there might have been a lot of things over a very long period of time that have felt like they've been outside of your capacity. You know, maybe you've understood recently how hard you can work when it's something that is really important to you. The King of Pentacles and the Knight of Pentacles together are speaking to a kind of far-reaching consequences of you applying yourself to something that you really believe in. It's almost like you've believed in everybody else for your entire life, right? Generally, collectively. But you've really struggled with self-belief. And suddenly the self-belief has come up to the surface because you're actually doing it. And you can do things long-term that you didn't think that you could. I often talk about the Four of Cups. I always say it first off. Four of Cups, boredom and apathy, but I think about it like this, right? And I come up with this slightly different interpretation. But it makes me wonder if it just in this case, the boredom and the apathy is appropriate. Because maybe acceptance for a long time about certain things has been an expression of an apathetic approach. I don't really care that much, so I'm not going to have an opinion about it. I don't really care what we do. I don't really care where we eat. I'm just kind of cool. I'm just sort of vibing here. You seem to have tapped into something incredibly fucking creative, that is lighting you up. And now everything that you want to do just seems obvious. The rules of the game seem obvious. You know, maybe even in terms of looking at how successful you are, you're actually like, I am actually fucking, I'm doing things really well. Like, I do wonder if you've just realised that you've overthought the shit out of this. Or maybe you've been apathetic to it. Either way, I mean, December is a continuation of this energy that you are in at the moment, which is highly fucking productive and is going to get an awful lot done. But more than anything else, it represents the growth of realising that you are not batting at a disadvantage to everybody else. It's just that it took a little while for everything to click into place. So now you can do more or less anything that you want to, that you're willing to invest in. But you're going to be guided by the principles that you have learned in your little database of past experiences. Which means that any change that you're trying to bring about, you know, we've got more indications of growth and transformation with the butterfly of the Two of Pentacles there, in addition to the Strength card. It means it's all kind of a go here, Pisces. I love this for you. This is wonderful. Right, I'm going to go over to the extended now. We're going to deconstruct this a little bit. So if you'd like to join me over there, you're very welcome to do so. You can do that on Circle. You can do that on T'other One Vimeo. But if this is where we part ways, that's absolutely fine. Pisces, this is tremendous. This is really incredible work. I'm so proud of you. It's almost like you turned on the light inside and suddenly realised how capable you are, and I'm here for it all fucking day long. This is stunning. And keep on keeping on doing what you're doing, because there are big changes afoot that, however big you want to make them, is how big they can be, you know? Alright, I'll leave it there. Know that I love you all very, very much. I'll see you soon.